Today. Wow, Nintendo is real. Virtually real. This is CheckPoint. Welcome to CheckPoint. I'm Graham.
And I'm Kathleen, and you are clearly not Graham.
Shh, they don't know that. For the broadcast, my image is being replaced with a sophisticated hologram that perfectly matches my movements. It was part of our studio upgrades.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah,
That's not a thing.
Also, you and James did the Studio B upgrades, and you would know we didn't install that.
But if you want to see what we did install, you can watch the brand new loading time over on our YouTube channel.
Flawless advertisement, Beige.
Nintendo is making VR entertainment again. This time, rather than limit themselves to the gauche materials of metal and plastic and oscillating curved mirrors, they're taking a more down-to-earth approach through the welcoming medium of cardboard. Labo VR is Nintendo's new kid in the Labo series, signaling Nintendo's intention to bring VR play to the masses. Or at least to the masses of people who already own a Switch and have the basic motor skills to assemble origami. Despite being made of cardboard, it's already expected to be an improvement over their last virtual experience, the Virtual Boy, the infamous tabletop-mounted console that shot red LED light directly into the headache center of the brain. Nintendo's clearly learned a lot since then, having iterated multiple times on handheld devices, on 3D viewing with the 3DS, and in fine-tuning motion controls, starting with the Wii. So taking a tiny step into VR with fun-looking papercraft, rather than jumping in with both feet to a still nascent market, is textbook Nintendo. Congrats, Nintendo! All it took you to improve upon your 1995 experiment into VR was another 24 years of product development, a pivot into raw packing materials, and the courage to accept that everyone looks like a doofus with VR goggles on their face, so who cares if it looks like you're staring into a duck's cloaca?
Niantic has finally revealed all the details about its upcoming game, Harry Potter Wizards Unite, and much like their other games, Pokemon Go and Ingress, it'll be all about getting outside. Players will be tasked with finding and catching Pokemon that will spawn near Pokestops. Players will be tasked with finding and catching Foundables, magic items and beasts that will spawn at Muggle locations. Players will also be able to team up with friends to defeat powerful raid bosses. Or Dementors. Look, it's just Pogo again with a different skin. It is exactly Pogo and will be played all the same places that Pogo is currently played. Which means if the game takes off, Harry Potter people are going to be fighting with the Pokemon people over turf, and everyone else will continue to be shooing carloads of men in their 30s out of their driveways. And speaking as someone who can see a Pokestop from her house, I refer you to the following gift for my statement on the matter.
Twitter is good again. The Twitter account, Can You Pet the Dog, answers the only important question we should ever have about video games. The anonymous account creator was spurred to action by The Division 2, because the only way to interact with dogs in that game is to shoot them. Vicious stuff, and also a great meta-commentary on video games in general. The account states, a successful pet is manual input resulting in visual representation of petting, which is a much better description compared to what I found on Urban Dictionary. In fact, the account creator has further criteria by which to assess who is you and what is a dog. Sure, your character avatar, heavily customized to look like you or ScarJo or whomever, is petting that dog in that cutscene, but is that really you? Did you have agency to initiate the pet, or is the game making the assumption that due to the presence of a dog in the cutscene, you would pet it? What if you didn't want to pet the dog? What kind of monster does that make you? Of course you want to pet the dog. And for that matter, what qualifies as a dog? Is it enough to have 4 legs? What if it has 6 or 8? What if it has 4 legs but only walks on 2 of them? Are those other legs technically legs? What if the dog is a Varan? What if the dog is a vacuum cleaner? What if you are the dog? Heady stuff for a mid-afternoon comedy news show, but if we don't understand existentially where we stop and the dog begins, how will we ever know if we're petting it or if it's petting us?
Believe it or not, unscrupulous developers have found yet another way to game Steam. This time it's the service's Popular Upcoming section, a constantly updating list that's supposed to show games that are releasing imminently and allow people to add them to their wish lists. By Steam standards, it's a premium advertising spot, which has led to a spate of developers constantly moving their release dates in order to stay on the list for as long as possible. The trick works because developers can enter one release date in a game's store page while inputting another one into the platform's backend, meaning games can be on the Popular Upcoming listing even while their actual release date is TBD. One particularly egregious offender, a game called Cooking Simulator, has been appearing in the Popular Upcoming section since June of last year and has changed its release date 6 times. And while games do legitimately get pushed back all the time, the date-changing tactic has proven lucrative enough that developers who have been using the system legitimately are now lucky to see their games get on the list for 1 or 2 days before launch. According to tweets from a Valve employee, the company is aware of the problem and is trying to fix it in a way that makes upcoming releases more valuable without hurting games that wish to shift their release date. Which is tough when the whole thing is generated by an algorithm. I mean, Valve could just have a human being verify if the games are actually upcoming, but so far they've been pretty stubborn about bringing any sort of quality control to their store, so I wouldn't hold my breath.
I mean, at least Valve removed Rape Day from Steam.
Well, hold up here. If we're gonna be giving out accolades for doing the bare minimum required by the social covenant, why don't I get any high fives for not running over 10 people on my way to work today?
Because you don't drive to work.
I could take people out with my broomstick if I was motivated enough, yeah. Coming up, Diablo 1 is now available on Good Old Games and includes an original experience mode so you can play at 640 by 480 at 20 FPS as our Dark Lord originally intended. Wow, wow, wow. Nintendo is real.